Dignitaries, lawmakers, and world leaders gathered in Washington today for the funeral of the longtime Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. After a morning memorial ceremony at the U.S. Capitol, a formal service took place this afternoon at the Washington National Cathedral. President Trump led the national tributes, calling Graham a tough senator who went out at the peak of his career. And as we've been hearing, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy were both in attendance. The late senator was a staunch supporter of both of their countries. Well, T.W. Rigi is a former senior advisor to Senator Lindsey Graham. He attended today's memorial service, and he shared what moments stood out to him.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Wish it was under happier circumstances. I thought it was a lovely celebration of Lindsey Graham's life. You had a number of people speak, from his niece, Sean Hannity, to the President of the United States, and even his home pastor. And all of them shared lovely memories of Senator Graham, the funny stories, the small kindnesses that he shared to all those in his life. One of the striking things to me was the sheer amount of staff, past and present, who were there for that memorial, and people from all sides of the aisle who were there to memorialize the great Senator Lindsey Graham. And that's not even getting to Prime Minister Netanyahu and Zelenskyy. So I thought it was a lovely tribute. I think there were plenty of jokes told and stories of Lindsey that would have definitely made him laugh from above. And I'm sure he's looking down very pleased and honored by everyone's presence there today.
Well, you worked for him. You're one of his staff members for a few years. And, what are your thoughts today? How are you reflecting on the life of the late senator?
Well, I'm sad, first and foremost, not just as a former staffer and someone still very much in the Graham universe, but as a friend. As we look across the world today and the issues that we face, there is no one whose voice is missed more than Lindsey Graham. It was great to see people who I haven't seen in a bit give a hug, get a hug, and share that love that we had, bonded by Lindsey Graham. And also a great time to share stories and reflections with those who loved him as much as I did. There is no shortage in my life of kindnesses that Lindsey Graham has shown me in my life. And we heard a story today about Lindsey Graham checking in on a staffer of a small thing, a small mistake, to see how they were doing and how they felt in that moment. And I felt that myself, a small thing of not being able to play in a golf foursome because I had to get bumped for some big executive. I didn't think much of it. Next thing I know, Senator Graham's on the phone to reaffirm his sorrow that I wasn't able to play with him that given day, and wanted to check in and see how I was and how I was feeling and how I was doing. Those sort of things are invaluable, and there's no shortage of those stories in my life and the life of many staffers like me.
Well, joining us now live, our BBC North America correspondent Anthony Zerker, who was also there at today's memorial service. And Anthony, what was that event like? How were people remembering not only the legacy, but also the life of the late senator?
Well, I think that's what you heard both from Donald Trump and Sean Hannity and the senator's family, talking about his upbringing from humble beginnings, his political career, his time as a senator, his emphasis and his love of country, both as serving in the Air Force for 30 years, but also becoming a foreign policy expert in the United States. And you could see that by the number of foreign dignitaries, as you mentioned, Zelenskyy and Netanyahu, also the Finnish Prime Minister Rupp. They were all there to show their support for a man who clearly represented the United States abroad. He traveled so much on congressional delegations, so he was a key player in America's face to the world.
And Anthony, these kinds of events, these funeral services here at the National Memorial, at the National Cathedral, these are often reserved, aren't they, for Washington's most influential figures, presidents, senators. You've been to a few of these. How did this event compare?
Well, I think presidents, as soon as they leave office, start thinking about what their memorial service is going to be like. So there's a lot more planning behind those, a lot more choreography. This, obviously, Senator Graham died suddenly, so they didn't have as much of a time. I did find it a slightly more partisan affair. Yes, there was a lot of talk about how Graham reached across the aisle and worked with Democrats, and I think we saw some of that at the service at the Capitol earlier in the day. But to have someone who's a conservative firebrand like Sean Hannity speak, compared to, say, when John McCain passed, the last sitting senator to have a memorial service at the National Cathedral. Both Barack Obama and George W. Bush spoke at his memorial service, although quite notably Donald Trump didn't, because even though he was then the president, he had feuded with McCain going into his last few years.
And Anthony, this is the first of 2 days of ceremonies for the late senator. Walk us through what we can expect tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow the senator's body will return to South Carolina, where he was born and raised, the state where he served both in the House of Representatives and the Senate. So there will be another memorial service in the capital of Columbia. You can expect to see more of the South Carolinian political dignitaries there. You saw a few of them at the memorial service this time. The current governor, the sitting fellow senator, some former members of Congress. It was a wide range of South Carolina folks that came up here, but they're going to do it all again tomorrow before the former senator is laid to rest in his home state.
Anthony Zerker, who was there at that memorial service honoring the late Lindsey Graham, thank you very much.